Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set, cocked, locked? Here we go. Your dial said correctly, too. USA Prepares. We're delighted you're here with us in class today. We broadcast 2 hours from high atop the Missouri Ozark Mountains. Mackenzie's engineering the broadcast at GCN. I'm Vincent Finelli. Hour number 1, Dr. Joel Wallach. Welcome, Dr. Joel Wallach.
Well, thank you, Vincent. I always appreciate your great hospitality and your listeners.
It's great to be with you. Dr. Wallach, I mentioned once before that I learned about you in the 1990s, and my family and I drove out to Indiana to see you and meet with you, and somehow I think your flight got derailed, and you were I don't know, unable to make it to that convention. And what they did graciously was they gave those of us who wanted to meet you a copy of Dead Doctors Don't Lie, the audio cassette, and I still have that. So I just wanted to tell you that that's how I first learned about you, and never did I think that I'd be broadcasting with you. And then the next thing that happened is I got a call from KWTO, a radio station in Springfield, Missouri, and they said, Dr. Wallach's coming to town, and we need someone to interview him, and you're the guy. And I said, okay, when? They said, like, now. right now. And so I just hopped in the truck and drove out from the farm to Springfield, and you and I did our first broadcast together. And then you were presenting a seminar in Springfield, and that's where I met you in person. And so never did I think that you and I would be broadcasting so many hours together. And I want to thank you. It's truly delightful. I appreciate it. I really do.
It's great to be in the same army with you, because it's going to take an army to defend and protect America.
Mm-hmm. I got an email from one of our class members, and this gentleman is a senior citizen, and he has foot pain, and his foot pain is driving him crazy, and he's wondering, could foot pain be linked to diabetes? What does he look for? What does he check? How does he determine what's going on? Do you have thoughts on that?
Sure. Okay. Well, number one, if he's concerned about diabetes, he could run to the pharmacy without a prescription, get the test strips that diabetics use to monitor their blood sugar, and in the morning before he eats breakfast, get one of those sterile lancets. I think they come 10 in a box or something like that. Stick it into the finger, put a drop of one of those little test strips. You get 5 of them for $10, and just follow the instructions on the label. It'll say leave it incubate for 2 minutes or 30 seconds, whatever it is. Then you wipe it off, and then there'll be a color change on the tip of that test strip. You hold it up against the rainbow colors on the label, and when it matches a particular color, it'll tell you how many milligrams of sugar there is per deciliter, per 100 cc's of blood. And then if it's below 100, you're not a diabetic. If it's 120, you're pre-diabetic. You get up to 140, you're diabetic. And, of course, the book, Let's Play Doctor, goes into great detail, but that's sort of the short version of it. Also, I need to know if his foot pain gets worse when he lays down at night or gets better when he lays down at night. Does taking aspirin or Bufferin or Aleve or one of those sort of over-the-counter pain relievers, NSAIDs they call them, are these, do they give him relief? Does he have a low back problem? Could be a low back problem, could be sciatica, causing pain down his hips and his legs and his feet. Doctors all the time will say, oh, you have diabetic neuropathy. Well, I'm not too excited about that, and there's no reason to believe that a person can't have 2 or 4 or 6 or 8 or 10 or 12 different diseases. They're all nutritional deficiency diseases, including diabetes, including degenerative diseases in the feet, whether it's the bones or the muscles, the ligaments, tendons, connective tissues. And all this can be going on at the same time. And so a lot of times people will have diabetes and musculoskeletal problems, and doctors blame one on the other when really they're two separate issues, except that they're both nutritional deficiencies.
So if he were to take aspirin and he felt relief, what would that indicate?
Well, I would believe it's more a musculoskeletal problem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And so what I would do, do you have any idea how much this guy weighs?
I would say 175.
Okay. And I would get him on 2 of the healthy brain and heart packs per month. That's just the quickest way to say the basic stuff for multiple things going on in his body, degenerative problems or nutritional deficiencies. 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month, 1 full dose of everything at breakfast and dinner. I'd get him 3 of the, if he showed it positive on his test strips, I mean, if he's 80 on his test strips and his blood sugar, fasting blood sugar, he doesn't need the sweeties. Okay, but if he's 110, 120, 130, 140, he should get 2 bottles of sweeties, so he can take 3 at breakfast, 3 at dinner time. And then again, having to take his fasting blood sugar every morning before he medicates himself. If he's not medicating himself, very quickly, usually within weeks or a month or so, usually he's an ex-diabetic. And he also needs 2 large bottles of glucogel, so you take 15 a day there, 5 at breakfast, 5 at lunch, 5 at dinner. They're designed to support, promote maintenance, repair, cartilage, ligaments, tendons, connective tissue, disc between vertebrae. When people have sciatica and peripheral neuropathies of the feet because of a back problem, it's caused by degenerative disc disease. When people have high blood sugar because they're deficient in nutrients, and these nutrients are designed to support healthy blood sugar and healthy cellular metabolism of sugars and carbohydrates. And there's 90 of these, 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, 3 fatty acids. And particularly the minerals are no longer found in our food anymore. There's a very specific reason for that. That's why we're getting epidemics of diabetes, epidemics of arthritis, epidemics of obesity, epidemics of things like lupus, epidemics of heart disease, epidemics of Alzheimer's disease. All of these are nutritional deficiency diseases, but these nutrients are no longer found in our food, some because they're just not there anymore, and some because of misdirection by the medical system. Doctors oftentimes give misadventure, misinformation to the patient. For instance, Alzheimer's disease is caused by deficiency of cholesterol. Well, who tells you to cut back on cholesterol and gives you drugs to lower your cholesterol? Who caused the epidemic of Alzheimer's disease? Didn't exist 48 years ago. By another name, today it's number 4 killer of adults in the United States. It's all the fault of the medical system by demonizing cholesterol when it's your best friend.
Yeah, I wanted to share something with you. You were breaking up there, so I missed what you just said.
The whole thing?
No, just the last 10 seconds.
Oh, the last 10 seconds. You have to appreciate that Alzheimer's disease is a deficiency of cholesterol. Who told people to give up cholesterol? Who told people to take statin drugs to lower their cholesterol? And when you did, if you were male, you wound up with ED, erectile dysfunction, because 95% of the weight of testosterone is cholesterol. You wind up with low T, same thing, and you wind up with adrenal exhaustion. I'm just tired no matter what I do. I sleep 20 hours a day, I'm still exhausted because adrenal hormones are 95% by weight cholesterol. And 75% of the brain weight of all vertebrates, including humans and turtles and fish and elephants, is cholesterol. So just like for breakfast this morning, I had 4 soft poached eggs for breakfast this morning. I'll have 4 eggs and steak for dinner tonight. And, I can remember the last time I clipped my toenails when I was 10 years old. The memory thing is the entire fault of the medical trade.
Mm-hmm. I've got to agree with you. I wanted to share something with you.
Okay.
Dr. Wallach, you met my mom here at the farmhouse, and she's in her 90s. And here's what I wanted to say. My mom has been eating healthy all of her life, at least as long as I've known her, which is 64 years. She listened to Dr. Carlton Fredericks on the radio in the 1950s and the 1960s, and he would say things like you are what you eat. And he would talk about eating very, very healthy. And so my mom had done that all her life. Her parents had a garden in the backyard. They heated with wood. The wood ashes went into the garden, as you've talked about. And so that's how she ate. And here's the proof. I mean, this is absolutely proof positive in my book. My mom has outlived everyone, every single person every one of her peers, her brother, her sister, all my aunts and uncles, everybody. She's the last one, and she's doing fine. And, she's in her mid-90s. So she started eating healthy, living a healthy lifestyle, not doing stupid things like, smoking and drinking and, all the things that some people who have reckless behavior do. She didn't do any of that. And she's in her mid-90s. She lives on the farm. She's got a garden. And, she's a happy, healthy person, outlived everybody. And so I can easily see that what you've said on this broadcast, every time that you've been on with me, is true. And I wanted to share that with you.
That's very good observation, Vincent. Exactly right. It used to be 75 to 100 years ago, farmers were the healthiest people in America because, as you said, they put their wood ashes, which are not ashes, they're really minerals. The trees sucked up on the ground. You burn the wood, the ashes are really minerals that are left. You put in the garden. The plants only need 3 elements out of the soil: NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. We need 60 from the soil. We need 60 elements from the soil. And so after we got electricity and everybody started using electricity to fuel their home, no more wood ashes in the garden. This is when Monsanto and Dow Chemical came out with the commercial fertilizer, NPK, which made the plants happy, made good seeds for the next generation. And farmers get paid by tons and bushels, so they went with Monsanto and with Dow Chemical. And so that's why the third world cultures outlive us, because they're still putting their wood ashes in the garden. They don't have chemical fertilizer. And we have the capacity, human beings have the capacity to live well beyond 200. So that's kind of outrageous. Well, yeah, but people that do it in places and documented by the National Geographic, Russia, Georgia, but we can do this. We do everything right. Your mom is well on her way. So that's 69 of those 200.
Dr. Joel Wallach, and I'll be right back. And so what's coming up? Happiness and health? Do they go hand in hand? Shingles? What is shingles? Serrapeptase. Diarrhea in the color of phlegm. Dr. Joel Wallach, and I'll be right back. Dr. Joel Wallach is with us, and I'm going to give you the protocol and the order hotline. You'll be talking with Jim Stewart, 417-863-7149, 417-863-7149, if you choose to pursue the path that Dr. Joel Wallach is talking about. Dr. Wallach, restoration of lung function after a lung infection, lung scarring. Is there anything that you would recommend as a protocol for that?
Oh, absolutely. Well, first of all tissue in the body, including lung, requires the 90 essential nutrients, 16 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, 3 fatty acids, to maximize your genetic potential for maintenance and repair. Maintenance and repair. Okay? Now, genes and DNA and RNA and telomeres are sort of blueprints, and they require this stuff. And I kind of find it amusing when some little old granny, in her 80s and 90s, like your mom and my mom, would go to the doctor and say, should I be supplementing with a multiple or take a few more extra vitamin C or something like that to supplement my diet? Mm-hmm. And the doctor said, no, just eat well, you're going to get everything you need. It would be like your doctor, your mechanic. You take your car to the mechanic and say, I'm tired of paying these prices for oil. Is there any way I can get oil cheaper than that? And then the mechanic said, well, look, I do this for my special friends, and you're one, you've been coming to me regularly. So instead of putting 6 quarts of expensive oil in your car every 1,000 miles, I've got 55 gallons of dirt from Texas in my backyard here. So I'm going to sell you 6 quarts of this dirt from Texas, 50 cents a quart. We're looking at $3 every 1,000 miles. Just put those 6 quarts of dirt from Texas in your car, and you won't have to worry about it because that's dirt from Texas. There's bound to be some oil in there. An insane person wouldn't do that to their car. But a doctor says, just eat well, you're going to get everything you need. 99.9% of the people say, okay. They listen to the doctor, and that's why they get sick and they die young. And they are miserable for many years before they die. Because these nutrients are no longer found in our food because we're not putting plant minerals, a.k.a. wood ashes, into the gardens anymore. We're using chemical fertilizers that only have 3 elements in it. We need 6. And so even the USDA came out just last year, Vincent. This was a 100-year study by the United States Department of Agriculture. They said our soils are 85% deficient of minerals compared to 100 years ago, and 95% of all Americans are minerally deficient. If you do not supplement your children, you will be burying them. It's a 100-year study from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And so if that's not enough to get people to sort of rise up, educate themselves, and start supplementing, I don't know what is. It was a 100-year study. The data that came out of that study, looking at the soil, the crops, the people, and animals that ate those crops, filled 6 football stadiums. So it's an enormous amount of data.
So are you saying that just the 90 essential is all you need for lung restoration and repair, or is there a special sauce that you
it's the basic. It's the basic stuff.
Right.
There is some special secret sauce for lungs, and most people don't know this. Even doctors, I think, don't know this. Your lungs produce a hormone. It's part of the prostaglandin family, so you know it when they first discovered it was in the prostate gland, but it occurs in both males and females. And this hormone actually dilates the bronchi to the size of a quarter. You don't have the raw materials for your lungs to make that hormone. You get COPD, you get asthma, you get chronic bronchitis, those kinds of things. And what happens is those bronchi, instead of being a diameter of a quarter, will shrink down to the diameter of the lead in a lead pencil. We're talking about a millimeter or two. There's all the wheezing and coughing and can't breathing and stuff that goes on. And so one of the secret sauces for lung health, and I've had people call me in the middle of the night and say, look, I just came to my doctor at the hospital emergency room. They give me some drugs right now, I'm relieved, but they told me I only have a couple months to live because my bronchi are so tiny, I'm just not going to make it. And I said, okay, well, let's try some prostaglandins. And so give them the 90 essential nutrients, a healthy brain and heart pack, 1 per 100 pounds body weight, just to maximize the genetic potential for maintenance repair. Then I would give them extra of the omega-3s. We have 2 forms. We have plant forms, we have animal forms. And so I would give them sort of 9 of each one, 9 of the plant ones, so 3 different, some from Canadian, some from fish oils and so on. I take 18 a day myself because I fly so much. I can get a pulmonary embolism. But you make that hormone, you can breathe perfectly.
That's Dr. Joel Wallach is with us, and we were talking about asthma and COPD. And Dr. Wallach, you were talking about omega-3, plant-derived, animal-derived. You take 9 of each per day, 18 total per day. I've seen you take a handful of your supplements. Every time I've been with you, every meal, you take them. So there's no question in my mind that that's absolutely true. So what is the recommendation for asthma and COPD?
Well, again, you got to get rid of all the bad stuff to maximize absorption. That old adage that you are what you eat was partly true, but it's more correct to say you are what you absorb as opposed to what you eat. Because if you're eating, and I was talking to the lady yesterday, she's eating, she says, well, I got leaky gut. I said, well, how do you know you have leaky gut? Well, all the supplements I'm taking keep coming out in the toilet. Well, if you're seeing your capsules come out in the toilet, you're not absorbing them. It can't be leaky gut. Leaky gut means you absorb it, and then you leak it back out. You're not even absorbing it. And so it doesn't matter how much you put in your mouth. If you're not absorbing it, you're not going to get the benefit. One of the biggest causes of malabsorption is gluten intolerance. About 98% of Americans have a gluten problem. No human being was ever designed to eat wheat or barley or rye or oats. We're designed to eat meat primarily, and because of ease of storage and consistency of availability, we kind of move towards the grains. But in the beginning, no human being ate grain. People say, well, it's in the Bible. No, it says bread is the staff of life. It doesn't say wheat was the staff of life. Well, what was the bread in those days? In the old days, in the Bible days, it was millet. It's a non-gluten grain called millet. Okay, then over time it became wheat, barley, rye, and oats because you get a better yield. A millet seed head's only a half-inch long. A wheat seed head's 3 inches long. So you quadrupled your yield just by going from millet to wheat. Anyway, you need the 90 essential nutrients, 16 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 minerals, 3 fatty acids. We've come up with a basic program we call the Healthy Start Pack. And everybody, whether you have a health challenge or not, before you're conceived, all through the pregnancy you're developed in, from the moment you're born, should be taking 1 healthy brain and heart pack one healthy start pack per 100 pounds of body weight. If you're a 50-pound kid, then 1 healthy start pack will last 2 months. If you're a 30-pound kid, it'll last 3 months. If you're a 200-pound person, it'll only last 2 weeks. So you need 2 for a 200-pound person, 3 for a 300-pound person, and so on. Then that's the basic stuff, like the oil in your car. And then let's say you have a problem. You get a red warning light. You get pain and numbness in your feet, and you got your back clicks and pops when you squat down. Well, you may have sciatica. And so you're getting a breakdown of the elastic fibers and the connective tissue in your disc. So I would throw in what we call glucogel, which is the sort of secret sauce for supporting and promoting maintenance repair of cartilage, ligaments, tendons, connective tissue, disc between the vertebrae, bone matrix, bone cell. And we deal with high school, college, Olympic, and professional athletes with these things because they're always having rotator cuff and meniscus in their knees and hip problems and hip pointers and peripheral neuropathies and sciatica. And so we deal a lot with military personnel and have these same problems, impact injuries. Parachutes don't open until the last minute, that kind of stuff. And we deal with Navy SEALs and Special Forces guys. We're able to rebuild them. We give their bodies the raw materials, and their genes, DNA, and RNA and telomeres are able to make the pieces they need out of the raw materials we give them to support and promote maintenance repair. And I just am so excited. We've been doing this commercially for 40 years, and people 40 years ago weren't really excited about this because they would have to pay $3 to $4 a day per 100 pounds of body weight. Well, my insurance will pay for it. It won't cost me anything if I use my insurance, and it only pays for drugs. Well, drugs only relieve symptoms except for antibiotics. Antibiotics will kill bacterial pneumonia, bacterial meningitis. They'll kill syphilis, things like salmonella. But other than antibiotics, Vincent, there's not one prescription drug that cures anything. The other prescription drugs just relieve symptoms, whereas nutrition has the ability to repair things. And so that's the direction I go.
What about serrapeptase? Have any thoughts on that as an enzyme to help remove dead tissue in the body?
Well, enzymes are absorbed intact when you swallow them, and it's certainly peptase enzymes, a certain percentage of them are absorbed in your bloodstream. And if you have something bad going on where you have necrosis or dead tissue or everything, the doctors like to do everything from the exterior, but there's nothing wrong with coming at these things from both sides. And so here's where you have to kind of take control, and people don't get enough information. Well, I've been going to the same doctor for 30 years. I'm happy with this doctor. It's whatever he or she says I'm going to do. That's not the right thing to do. What you want to do is say, well, that's very good information. Thank you. And I'm going to get 2 or 3 other opinions. I'm going to get an opinion from the medical school at the university nearby here. I'm going to get an opinion from another guy in another state who's kind of a talk show host guy. And it's going to deal with these things. And that way I'll make up my mind what I'm going to do. Remember, doctor, you are my employee. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to do everything you say just because you say it. And, of course, doctors could get all huffy and puffy about that. But people will get 5 bids whether they put a new roof on their house or a sprinkler system in the yard. Or whatever the doctor, well, we're going to cut your foot off today. And people say, okay. Or can we wait till after tomorrow? I got bowling league tonight. They never say I'm going to get 2nd, 3rd, and 4th opinions. And so we need to start doing that because doctors have learned how to use the patient as an ATM machine. And you'll notice the doctors tend to be more aggressive in July and August and September. You say, why is that? That's because their kids are going into college and they need tuition money. Yeah, we've been talking about your knee replacement for years. Well, it's time now. Somebody actually canceled. I got some space. And so you can come on in now. Let's get it done. Oh, okay. Thank you so much. You just paid for his kid to get into Harvard. Mm-hmm. Even Harvard Medical School says don't get knee replacements for arthritis. This is published in the New England Journal of Medicine in 2002. And yet people will do a double knee replacement without getting a second opinion because their doctor said so. And so when Harvard Medical School looked at the records of 300,000 patients, Vincent, said don't get, Harvard Medical School said in 2002, do not get knee surgery for bone arthritis or knees. And then just a couple of weeks ago, Mayo Clinic came out. Mayo Clinic in Minnesota came out and said only 1 out of 10 diagnosed treatment plans are correct. People who got second opinions, particularly from universities and medical schools, found that the first diagnosis and the first treatment plan were 88% incorrect. And in each case, of course, the doctor made more money than the proper treatment. There's no oversight from the medical process.
I got a call from my medical doctor's office, and they said, Vincent, you're not following medical advice. And I said, well, that's not true. I am following medical advice. I get lots of opinions. There are people who are on the radio with me who have given me medical advice, and I'm following their advice. I'm just not following your advice.
If everybody would do that, the medical system would change. Right now, there's no oversight. There's nobody watching them for their diagnosis or their billing, and so they're just running amok.
Well, they were furious with me because they said they've gone through a lot of work scheduling things, and I said hold it, and but you're absolutely right, and you're also absolutely right, and I've heard for at least 10 years that I've been taking my mom to doctor's appointments. You know, we all go with her on these checkups, and every time I'm with her, I say, doctor, should my mom be taking vitamins, minerals, supplements? And the answer is always the same. No, just she gets everything she needs from her food, everything she needs. And of course, she is taking the vitamins, minerals, and supplements, and they're kind of amazed at how well she's doing. But they don't think that she should change anything. Everything she's getting everything she needs from food. And I hear the same thing when our children go, and I ask the same questions. And every doctor, every nurse, every medical professional I meet in those offices, I ask the same question: Should we be supplementing? And they all say the same thing: No, you get everything you need from.
If everybody were to email the state medical board and the state medical association, look, I'd like to charge Dr. So-and-so with reckless endangerment. I asked him if I shouldn't be taking some supplements to augment my diet. He said, no, you get everything you need from your food. He didn't even test me. He had no earthly idea if I need vitamins and minerals. He just says that. And what if I die from a lack of one mineral can cause me to have a cardiomyopathy heart attack? The deficiency of a single vitamin can cause me to have congestive heart failure. And so I think these doctors should be charged with reckless endangerment. And if somebody dies after following that advice, and they had, for instance, congestive heart failure, which is a deficiency of a single vitamin, we've known that for 300 years. It was actually discovered by a Japanese naval surgeon 300 years ago. Congestive heart failure, for the most part, is caused by deficiency of a single vitamin. Should there be something like, no. Do you just stay on your medication? Well, can I stay on the medication and take supplements? No. Supplements will interfere with the medication. You have no idea. And so this is the bad part. So we have to begin to take over. That's why there's a Home Depot, an AutoZone, and that's why there's me.
You know, one of the things that you and I have done, we have attended these conventions. And you and I have been on the same stage separately. I remember one convention, I was on stage and I was finishing up, and you came into the back of the room because you were on next. And one of the things that I talk about is how to start your own business, take the same tax deductions the wealthy take. And I've been doing this for decades. I've studied it, I've read the tax code, and I've been doing this myself for many, many years. Well, the second hour of this broadcast, which is in about 14 minutes, I'm going to be on with Marty Barrett, and we're going to talk about that. But that's something that you have mentioned separately on stage, briefly. I've mentioned it, but we've never talked about it together. How about we spend the last segment of this broadcast talking about how we can start our own business with you. For $25, we can be in business, and we can take the same tax deductions the rich take. And then I'll follow up for the next hour with Marty Barrett and explain exactly how this works in a little more detail. What do you think about that, Dr. Wallach? Dr. Joel Wallach's with us. Dr. Wallach, I believe that people who are business owners are better off than people who have jobs. And I believe that people who have success in their lives, repeated successes, have higher self-esteem. I believe they're healthier. I believe that it's impossible to be sick and happy simultaneously. Do you agree or disagree with what I've just said?
Oh, yeah, no, I agree with you. In fact, America was built on people not coming here to get a job. People came here to avoid the king and his taxes, and they just want to get their 10 acres and a mule and be left alone. And so that's why I love you and your organization, because you teach people to be independent, how to survive. And the beautiful thing about the longevity system, of course, our stocks and more. I'm the only naturopathic physician whose practice is publicly traded. YGYI, 4 letters, YGYI. And we're working on getting on the NASDAQ. You know, we've gone through the pink sheets and the clipboards and bulletin boards and ticker tapes, and we're ready to go on the NASDAQ. And so the YGYI was very exciting right now. That's because when somebody signs up with us for the $25, immediately before your signature ink dries, you're going to get thousands of dollars worth of tax breaks. For instance, you have your home office. You don't have to go out and rent a building. That's extra money. But let's say your mortgage is $1,000 a month, just for easy math, and you get 10% of your floor space you're using for your home office, your warehouse, your little classroom, and everything. 10% of $1,000 a month is $100. Well, 100 times 12 is $1,200. You already got a $1,200 tax deduction. For a one-time fee of $25 every year, you're going to get $1,200 tax deduction. You also get the same 10% off your utilities, your electricity, water, gas, oil, whatever you're using, and also your security, your lawn care, all that kind of stuff. So now you're up to a couple $1,000 a month. And then you can get a business plan. Your business plan, as you say, your little longevity business is going to give you is going to give you benefits, just like the big corporations. Some people work, well, I get benefits. Well, your longevity business can pay for your health care premiums monthly, your life insurance premiums monthly, your fitness center weekly fees or monthly fees, your qualification costs. You can get a check from us every month, and that can amount to a couple $1,000 a month. And on top of the couple $1,000 a month from your others, you're up to $5,000 a month now. That's instant. And so if you're working, they're withholding money from you to pay the taxes to the government because they're afraid you're not going to pay the government. You can get a significant amount of that withholdings. They're audited back every year. I mean, I have people who have been with me for 10, 20, 25, 30 years. They're getting tax deductions of maybe $40,000, $50,000 a year. If they can't use it all this year, they can carry it forward for 12 years. They can go backwards 3 years. So just the tax rate. We haven't even talked about cash flow yet. Just the tax rates are worth that one-time $25 fee. I mean, I would do that every day of the week. I mean, I can give you $25. That's $25. It's $25 once. They get all these tax breaks forever. And this is a willable asset. 10 million generations. Yep. It'd be a fool not to do this.
I totally agree. And because of that, I'm going to do the next hour with Marty Barrett talking about how this works, how you can start any business, whatever your passion is, you can start it. And longevity is one of them. And for $25, you can be in the game, and you can take the same tax deductions that many take. And if you look at the people in your lives class, the ones who you probably find the most successful are the business owners. I'm serious about that. You look at the guy with the job versus the guy who's a business owner, the gal with the job or the gal who's a business owner, and you'll see what I'm talking about, what Dr. Wallach is talking about. Dr. Wallach, I believe, now I've never asked you this, but I'd like to ask you on the air. I think that you have helped more people start their own businesses than any other single individual. Do you think that's true?
I don't know about that, any single individual, but certainly naturopathic physicians, I've helped literally millions of people start their own businesses. And that's why we're going so great on the stock market. And not only get the tax breaks, but you get the cash flow.
Yeah. Well, if you've helped millions, that's a huge number. It's more than anybody else I know.
Very proud.
Dr. Wallach, thank you so much for being with us today. And we're going to continue this discussion with Marty Barrett about starting your own business.
Hi, Beth.
Hey, thank you so much for being with us. And class, the order hotline, 417-863-7149. 417-863-7149. $25, and you can be in business. And Jim Stewart will tell you how. 417-863-7149.
Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set, cocked, locked. Here we go. Hour number 2 of USA Prepares. Delighted to be with you. And this is going to be fun. This is something that I've wanted to do for a long time. This is something that I've done in person. I've traveled throughout part of the United States, and I've been afforded the opportunity to present seminars on a couple things that I think are important. And one is how to start your own business and pay less in taxes. How to start your own business and take extreme tax deductions. How to start your own business and get the same tax deductions that the wealthy take. how to do that. And in this hour, we're going to do this. And normally when I'm on the air, I'm about 20% or so of the broadcast, and your instructors, your experts, are 80%. This time, I'm going to do a little bit more than the 20% talking. And I'm delighted to be broadcasting this hour about extreme tax deductions with Marty Barrett. Marty has been teaching at the college level for a couple decades, and she's willing to be on this broadcast with me to talk about extreme tax deductions. And she's interested, I believe, in lowering the amount that she pays in taxes. Welcome, Marty Barrett.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm all excited about doing this, Marty, and I really want to thank you.
I bet you are. And I'm excited about what you're going to tell me, because I'm so tired of paying taxes. Soon I'm going to work for free, or I'm going to owe them to work. I need some hints from you, and you're the expert.
Well, I won't say I'm the expert, but I will say that I've got some bruises, and I have some experience. I've been audited. I've been through the meat grinder. I've gone toe-to-toe, head-to-head with the government about taxes. And what I'm going to do is summarize during this broadcast all the years of experience that I've had. So, class, let me just make a disclaimer here. All of the statements that I'm going to make are based on life experiences. They're based on what others have told me firsthand. They contain my opinions, and I'd like to caution you to proceed at your own risk. Okay? I'm also going to say, please don't believe anything I say. Do your own research. Do your own research and consider this class entertainment. But, and I'm saying that so that it, yeah, but take notes, because I really believe that anyone who pays attention in this class, who decides that they're going to do their own research and pursue it the way we're talking about, will easily, very easily save at least $1,000 a year in taxes that they won't be paying, all legally, all above board, easily from now on. And class, if you don't save that $1,000, call your radio station that you hear this broadcast on and ask them for a refund, a full refund of of what you paid. Okay, so Marty, let me ask you this: of all the people that you know, now you know people I don't know. We know a few people in the same circle, but there are just a few of them. But of all the people that you know, if you were to compare those who have their own business versus those who have jobs, who would you say is better off?
I would say those that have their own successful business.
Mm-hmm. No, I would agree with that. And we can mention some of our instructors. Dr. Joel Wallach. I was just on the air with him. He has his own business. Dr. Norman Shealy. I'm just naming two. There are so many others who are on the air with us. Okay. Now, the question is, why is that? And the answer is that the tax laws are written to the benefit of in favor of and to the benefit of business and landowners. Okay, the tax code is written in favor of them. Mm-hmm. Now, if we believe that's true, then if we have a passion, if there's something that we love to do, if we were on vacation and we would do that thing, whatever that is, that's what I would suggest that we make our business. Okay, so what could that be? Well, and I'm going to use some extreme examples here. Fly fishing. I know a gal who is like the head of the Fly Fisher Women's Association. These are women who love to go fly fishing. Okay, now they could make that their own business. Now that's a kind of a narrow focus, fly fishing, but that could be a business. What about people who just like staring at a fish tank? And I'm giving you extreme examples here. That could be a business. Getting prepared for emergencies. Let's say there's a young man who loves tinkering with mechanical things, and he likes lawnmowers and lawnmower engines, and he decides that that'd be kind of a neat thing to do, just repair lawnmowers in the neighborhood. He could turn that into a business, okay? Or it could be a retired person who likes fixing and tinkering. It could be a guy who wants to help people with electrical wiring. It could be anything. Let me give you an extreme example. Mm-hmm. Going to the movies. Now, how could you make going to the movies be a business. Well, remember Siskel and Ebert? Those two guys would go to the movies, and they got a television show talking about movies they went to see. Oh, that's a pretty extreme business.
Sounds like a tough job, doesn't it? Going to the movies.
Right. Well, they made it into a business. And there are restaurant critics, right? They go to restaurants and they eat out and then they talk about it. And they've made that into a business. So what I'm saying is almost anything goes in terms of making a business out of your passion. And so let's talk about the 1950s and the 1960s. Let's talk about what happened. So in the 50s and 60s, and even into the very, very beginnings of the 1970s, Dad worked. My dad worked. Most dads worked. And Mom stayed at home and raised the children, right? And that was, in my opinion, the best thing that a woman could do. Spend her time making sure that the product of the union of the husband and wife was the best that it could be. So Mom dedicated that time to raising the children. Dad dedicated the time to providing for the family, right? And didn't that work out well? I mean, was that the case in your family, Marty?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Mom worked on all the things, baking for PTA bake sales, and her job was being the best homemaker she could be and raising the children well. Very few women in that era in my town worked.
Mm-hmm. And that was the same in the town that I grew up in. And so those children, which would be us, I believe were better equipped to think, better equipped to be motivated, better equipped to start, better equipped to finish, had more stick-to-itiveness, better behaved than what I'm seeing today, more mannerly even. And that was because of the nurture of Mom at home. Mom stayed at home with the children and raised them and made sure that they got their homework done, and Dad helped out too. But it was a family unit. Well, in 1971, things changed. The tax codes and economic policies changed, and no longer could Dad's income cover the bills. And the question is, why is that? And it was simple. It was taxes and inflation. Prices were going up on the things that the family needed. They were increasing at an increasing rate. And it became really a struggle. But what happened is that hidden tax of inflation wasn't seen. It's like, boy, things are going up in price. Geez. Back in the 60s, gasoline was 24.9 cents a gallon. 50% increase easily in the early 1970s. So things were going up, but we didn't really see exactly what was happening. It was inflation and taxes. Now, when we talk about taxes, there are easily almost 100 different taxes that we have been subject to. And let me just list a few of these. There are building permits. Okay, you want to build? Well, you got to get a permit. Well, that costs money. That's a tax. It's not called a tax, but it is. There's a capital gains tax, business registration fees, court fines, disposal fees. If I want to take the trash to the landfill in our county, they weigh the vehicle. Say it's a truck. They weigh it on the way in, they weigh it on the way out when it's empty, and they charge me for the difference. Okay. Then there are dog tags. You have to have a tax to have a dog. Come on, driver's license fees. Then you have Social Security, both on the employer and the employee side. Then there are estate taxes, federal corporate taxes, federal income taxes, fishing licenses. My son was invited to a bachelor party, and the bachelor party consisted of the guys going out on a boat and going fishing. My son said, I got to get a fishing license. I said, what? Why do you have to get a fishing license? He said, well, we're going fishing for the day, so I have to buy a year's worth of fishing license. I said, you're kidding, right? He said, no. So there's a fishing tax. Then there's food and beverage fees. There are franchise business taxes, garbage taxes, gasoline taxes, gift taxes. There are some places, if you want to have a gun, you have to have a permit. Then there are fees to use certain highways. There are toll booths and state-run. There are inspection fees. And there are taxes on IRA early withdrawals, license plates, library taxes, liquor taxes, school taxes, income taxes, luxury taxes, marriage license taxes. So if a guy and gal want to get married, they get a marriage license. Come on. Medicare tax. I mean, the list goes on. School taxes, sewer and water taxes, sales taxes, toll booth taxes, I mentioned that, real estate taxes, property taxes. You know, here in Missouri, we have a personal property tax. So I have a tractor, and in order to keep that tractor, they want me to pay a fee every year. I've got some trailers. They want me to pay a fee every year. Now, I've already paid for the tractor. I've already paid for the vehicle. I've already paid the sales tax on the vehicle. I've already paid the registration fee. But I have to pay another fee on the same vehicles, the same tractors, and that's called personal property. And the list goes on and on and on. And how about telephone taxes? Now, the whole point of this is let's reduce our taxable income and avoid paying taxes on some of these things. And we're going to show you how. We'll be right back. Marty Barrett's with us. And Marty, just to add a few more taxes, you know, there's the telephone state and local taxes, the telephone universal access taxes, tire recycling fees, tire taxes. There's a watercraft registration and licensing fees, well permit fees. You want to have a well? No problem. You have to pay a fee to for the government to. Yep. and then there's zoning permit fees, right? Now, the U.S. tax code is pretty long. That's 3.8 million words.
Ooh.
And that's 3.8 million words long, and that's 4 times longer than all the words in all of Shakespeare's works, if you collected them all together. So 4 times more words in the U.S. tax code than in all of Shakespeare's works. And over the last decade, there have been almost 4,500 changes to the tax code. 4,500. And according to the National Taxpayers Union, the IRS currently has 1,999 different publications, forms, instruction sheets that you can download from their website. Almost 2,000. One shorter than 2,000.
Is this meant to just baffle all of us?
Absolutely. It absolutely is.
It sounds like it with the volumes.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. You know, the Intuit people, you know, the guys who sell TurboTax, they, together with H&R Block, have lobbied Congress to keep the tax code complicated. Now, if you think about it, you know, some people would say, you know, I'm going to make this a little easier. I'm going to buy a copy of TurboTax. Well, if you buy a copy of TurboTax 2 years ago, and you say, I'll just use it this year, it won't work because the tax code has changed. The computations have changed. The forms are slightly different. So you have to buy a new copy of the software every year. That would be like buying a copy of a word processing program every year so that it would work, which is nuts, which is absolutely nuts. Here's something kind of interesting. So actually, yeah, it's designed to be complicated. It's designed to be formidable. It's designed to make people say, I can't do it. I just can't do it. And we're going to talk about how you can do it during this broadcast. And by the way, we may not get through the entire class today for how to do it. I'm going to try, but if we can't, we'll continue. Would it be okay if we continued next week and finish up if we can't get through it today? Are you good for that?
Sure. But I need to learn more. Just listing those taxes has made me dizzy.
Well, I didn't list them all. There's 97 of them that I found.
Whoa.
But
I've heard enough to know that I'm paying way too much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, in 1998, Money Magazine had 46 different tax professionals complete tax returns for a hypothetical household. Now, they had 46. All 46 of them came up with a different result. So here you've got tax professionals given the same input. Okay, here's a hypothetical family, hypothetical household. Calculate the tax that you think is due for them. And they all came up with a different answer from each other. 46 preparers, 46 different tax professionals, 46 different answers. So now how are we supposed to do this? We, you know, the common man, the common woman. Well, here's another thing. In 2009, PC World, PC as a magazine, came up with, had 5 of the most popular tax preparation software websites prepare a hypothetical return. All 5 of them came up with a different result. So it's not only these tax professionals, even the software can't do it. So now you know that it's complicated on purpose. So let's look at the 2015-2016 income tax bracket. So if you make from 0 to 18,450, the rate is 10%. They're going to take 10% of your income. If you make 18,450 to 74,900, the tax rate is 15%. And if you make between 74,900 and 151,200, 25%. Okay. So let's take an example of a guy. Okay. It can be a gal, but this guy is a dishwasher, makes $9.50 an hour. And so he's at the 15% tax rate, the federal tax rate. But he also has to pay 6.2% Social Security tax, and his employer pays 6.2, a matching 6.2. So how much is this dishwasher paying as a percentage? 27.4%. And he probably hires a guy to prepare his taxes, right? Because he's saying, "Well, I can't do this; it's too complicated." And he has to, and then he pays. Well, by the time they're done with him, and I'll talk about that when we come back. I'll talk about how much he's going to be taxed by the time we're done with him. And then we'll continue starting your own business. We'll be right back. Marty Barrett's with us. So Marty, this discussion that we're having about taxes, I think, is one of the reasons why I haven't been invited to speak at any conventions recently. And I think it's too hot of a topic. And so instead of speaking to just 100 to 200 people, we'll speak to thousands, you and I. And so here's our example of our dishwasher friend, and he's making $9.50 an hour, and he's at the total tax rate at this point of 27.4%. And then he lives in Missouri, and he pays 8% sales tax. And how much does he pay 8% sales tax on? Everything he buys, or almost everything, because he can't save any money because he doesn't make enough money. He's only making $9.50 an hour, and he's being taxed to death. So he's paying about 50% by the time the tax people are done with him. Now, the rest, many are paying 75% or more in taxes, plus they're getting the double whammy with inflation. Now, there are only a few ways that I know of, actually there's only one way I know of, to pay less in tax, and that's legal. Okay, tax evasion is not legal. Tax avoidance is legal. And the way to do it is to start your home-based business. And if you start a home-based business, you can drive down your taxable income with your business deductions. So here's a question I have for you, Marty. Of the people that you know, if they had been willing to talk about taxes, how many of them do you think prepare their own taxes? How many do you think actually do the calculations themselves?
5%.
Right. Okay.
And that's probably a large guess. Most people are scared of that almighty audit.
Okay. So the reasons are there any other reasons why they hire some person to do their taxes? Is there a reason?
All those pages and words you were talking about before, it's just mind-boggling. They don't want to even attempt it. They're scared of an audit, and they're thinking it'll take hours and hours of their time.
All right. So let me see if I've got this right. So they're willing to hire someone to prepare their taxes for them, someone that they hardly know, right? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me describe this person. You tell me if that describes the person that you might be thinking of that might do your taxes, or that previously might have done your taxes, because he's going to be fired by the end of this broadcast, I'm sure. So does he have a name, by the way?
Joe.
Joe. Okay. So Joe does your taxes. What does he charge you?
A couple $100, and it seems to go up every year.
Okay. So a couple $100 goes to Joe.
It's not complicated. It's not any more complicated than it was last year as far as the different categories of income. Mm-hmm. So I'm a little confused about why it goes up so much every year, except for the fact that he's got me. I'm scared, so I'm running scared and paying him.
Okay. So let me see if I've got this right. Joe belongs to a club, maybe the Lions Club, maybe the Rotary Club, maybe Knights of Columbus, or some kind of club, or you know him from someone who recommended him and said, Joe is really good. Joe, he knows everything. He is really a tax expert, and he won't get you audited. He's really, really good. And so we use him, and you might want to consider using him. Is that Joe?
Mm-hmm. That's exactly him.
Okay. Well, that's everybody's Joe. And why do I know this? Because I've spoken, in many seminars, and it's the same. It's always the same. It's the tax code is too complicated. I don't even know where to begin. and I don't want to get audited. And if I do get audited, I don't know what to do. I don't want to go to jail. And those are the reasons why people hire someone whom they hardly know to do their taxes and pay them. Now, we are entrusting the 95% that you're talking about, are entrusting Joe and the likes of Joe, and he's probably a nice guy, with their deepest financial secrets, their bank accounts,
that my friends don't know.
Yeah,
information my friends don't even know.
Your close friends.
Right.
Right. Even a guy that you've known since the 1970s. I don't even know where you bank, and I should not know, but Joe knows, right?
You're not getting my PIN numbers.
Well, you know, Marty, and I shouldn't. And the point is, we should not be trusting these people because we don't know them. All right. So I'm gonna cut to part of the chase. So let's make up this example. So this fictitious person, Connie is like Joe. She's our local taxpayer. She lives in the village. She's a wonderful person. Everybody loves Connie. She goes to church every Sunday. She attends the village functions, the events. She is the epitome of what the model villager should be like. She's got a bookkeeping business, and she prepares almost everyone's taxes. She's trusted, just like Joe is trusted. So she prepares the taxes. She's been preparing the books for years for people. And if anyone gets audited, it's okay because Connie's there, right? Connie will take care of anyone who gets audited. And that's the feeling that we have with, or most people
and
have.
And I don't even know if it's true that they would go with you if you got audited. Everybody assumes they would go with you.
That's correct.
But it's never been challenged.
Right? They might be on vacation. They might be in Florida, okay? And you might live in Minnesota. So, and here's the way it goes. Her clients, and tell me if this does not apply to you, but I have a feeling it does. Her clients arrive at just after January, when people start getting ready to have their taxes prepared, with their receipts, either in a box or in a bag, and they say this: I don't want to pay a lot in taxes. Don't get me audited. Does that sound familiar?
Yes.
Okay, well, those are two mutually exclusive statements. I don't want to pay a lot in taxes and don't get me audited are at opposite ends of the spectrum. Now, here's why. Connie has a tax preparer number. So does Joe. And let's say it's number 1, 2, 3, 4. So all of the returns that Joe and Connie prepare have that number on them. And if you were in the beauty shop and you're having your hair done and the gal next to you, you see her every once in a while in town and you know her, Mary, and you sit down and she's waiting and you're waiting, for your turn to have your hair done, and you go to Mary and you say, "So how's it going? How's the family?" Terrible. What's up? Somebody sick? Everybody? What's going on? Oh, we just got audited. So what's the next question that is asked, Marty? What's the next question that's asked?
Who does your taxes?
Who does your taxes? So it's incumbent upon Joe and Connie to make sure that they don't take deductions to the extreme. Because if they do, they might trigger an audit. And if someone gets audited in the village, then it travels like wildfire that Joe or Connie did the taxes and their business will tank. So they can't take the deductions that you might take if you knew the rules, right? So what are the rules? Well, you can download them. They're absolutely free. Publication 17. You go to irs.gov and you can download Publication 17. It used to be like 100 pages. Well, it's improved like the rest of government. It's grown out of control, and it's close to 300 pages now. And there's another publication called 587, Publication 587 at irs.gov. They are the condensed rules. Now, when you read them, you must interpret what they mean. Now, when I interpret them in my favor. I certainly don't say, well, geez, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. It's only $1,000. Let's give it to them. Absolutely not.
You're a nice guy.
I interpret. Well, okay. Let's talk about that. So when I go to the store and I buy a gallon of diesel engine motor oil, and it's $25, the bill comes to $25, let's say exactly, and the cashier says that'll be $25, and I pull out three $10s, three $10 bills, and I go, well, look, that's close. That's close. You want 25, here's 30, have a nice day. Nobody in his right mind does that, right?
No.
So why would I do that on my taxes? So someone might say to me, hey, Vinny, how do you get away with this? I'm telling you, I'm not getting away with anything. I'm reading the rules and I'm applying the arithmetic and the logic and my interpretation to their rules. And I'm doing what they say. I'm not giving them a cent more. I'm not 1 cent more, and I mean that. So tax rules are designed to shape your behavior. They encourage you and discourage you from doing things, like smoking. So the government decides, well, let's change the rules about smoking. Let's increase the taxes. So they just increase the taxes. And they look at, how does it work? Hey, that worked pretty well. We're making more revenue because we increased the taxes and people are still smoking. So it's kind of working.
Yeah.
So that, and then if they want you to have solar panels, somebody in the solar business bribes our Congress thugs and says, hey, listen, we'll give you, a lot of money, but we need some rules to encourage tax incentives to encourage people to start installing solar panels. So that's encouraging a certain behavior. So we discourage and encourage different behaviors based on taxes, and that's how it's done.
The latest one we have is sugary drinks. Big tax on those. Soda and any kind of sugary drink.
Yep.
To discourage you, but it probably doesn't. It just brings in more revenue.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I was reading in Philadelphia, it's almost as much, the discouraging tax is almost as much as the product itself.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. That's absolutely true. All right, let's pick a business. And we can pick mine as an example. I'm a farmer. I'm a broadcaster, and sometimes I travel and I speak or I used to speak to seminar groups, and I talk about preparedness, conspiracies, farming, and saving money. Now let's talk about some potential bona fide tax deductions that I might incur with my business. So, for example, I might decide that I need to have a security system. And I've said this in the seminar. I'll pull back my sport coat and I'll say, I have a 45 on my side here, a 1911 style 45 semi-automatic pistol. Okay, I'll pull that back. I don't brandish it. I just say I have this. Now this is part of my security system. Now is this a potential tax deduction? Yes or no? Well, is it? Absolutely, it is. It is. And not only is the 45 a potential deduction for me, but so are the cartridges for it, the targets, and the paper targets if I choose to use them. If I decide to reload my ammunition, the reloading equipment, the powder, the projectiles, the cases, the primers, all of those are potential deductions. Well,
How
what about
target practice somewhere?
Oh, absolutely.
Does that count?
Absolutely. So not only does that count, but the trip there counts. So I might say, well, geez, it's 25 miles to get there, and it's 25 miles back. Well, I require that to maintain my skills for my security, okay, for my safety.
Right.
In my opinion, that 25 miles there and back is tax deductible at the 1996 rate. I'm sorry, at the 2016 rate of 54 cents a mile. 54 cents a mile. Since 1996, the tax, the mileage rate has increased. It actually went over 56 cents a mile, but right now we're at 54 cents a mile. Let's talk more about deductions when we come back. It looks like we're going to have to do next week too, Laura. Marty, be right back. Class, Marty has a question, and that question is, so how do we start a business? It's simple. We just say, I'm in business. Now you're in business. It's simple as that. Marty, let's build your business right here, right now. What would you like to do?
I'd like to be a tutor, professional tutor.
Okay. So you'll have clients or customers who will pay you for your tutoring?
Yes.
Okay. And so you feel that you're qualified in the subject matter, I'm sure. All right. So
yes.
Now, in order to do this tutoring, there are some business expenses that you have. And let's just talk about them very quickly. So you've got, do you need the internet?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's say, and I'm just going to pick a number. So let's dedicate one room of your house. And to make this simple, we'll say there are 10 rooms in your house. There could be more, there could be less. But for arithmetic's sake, 10 rooms. So let's take one room of the house. So 10% of the cost of everything that you spend to operate your house is now part of the business expense. I'm talking about 10% of the mortgage, 10% of the taxes, 10% of the roof repair, 10% of the well repair, 10% of the hot water heater that just blew. All of that. 10% of everything, lighting.
Homeowner's expenses.
Yes. Yeah, if you had your lawn done, 10% of that, it goes to the business. Okay, so now you've got a whole bunch of deductions that just were created by you saying, I'm in business as a tutor. Okay, you haven't had any sales yet, but you're setting up your business. Now, do you have to make a profit? No. Do you have to try to make a profit? Yes. Do you have to try to have a bona fide business? Yes. But there are plenty of businesses who start up and fail. So there's no law that says you have to make a profit, because it's impossible sometimes to make a profit. Sometimes plans for businesses aren't as viable as they should be. And there are other factors that cause businesses to fail, but you have to try. So I know you're going to try, and I know you're going to do this all above board. So you've taken 1/10 of your expenses. Now, in that room, it's an empty room, if you had to paint it in order to make it look presentable, when you do your tutoring, more presentable or more conducive, let's say, okay? Let's say it was a storage room, and you've converted it. Well, now you've spent some money on converting it, you've painted it, and you put a rug in there. And those are all business expenses. You got a desk, you found one at a yard sale, and it was $100, and it was perfect for what you were trying to do. And the bank had a sale on some used bank chairs that are really, really nice, and another $100 went to that, and you bought a calculator, and you bought a computer. Okay, all of those are expenses against your business. So now you have some deductions. And when you went to pick them up, and you did the traveling to get the desk and the rug and the paint and all that, those are all business expenses at 54 cents a mile from your house to the store and back. Okay, so what we've done is we have created or we have listed some expenses that go against your income. Now, you already have an income at your profession, and we'll call it your job, right? So now these expenses come off the top of your income. So you're reducing, what you've done is you've reduced your taxable income. That's what the wealthy do. The wealthy have all kinds of things that the business owns. They control them. The business owns them. And now, I just heard your security system. Can you deduct your security system?
I'm not getting robbed.
Well, no, and okay, well, see, that to me, that is a business tax deduction as well. Now, some people might look that up on the internet and they'll say, no, you can't deduct your dog.
I saw that.
Well, okay, well, you're a mom, you're a gal, and you're gonna be teaching sometimes in your house. And wouldn't it be nice to have your dog protect you? Okay, should something go wrong, you don't think anything's going to go wrong, but you want to make sure that if it does, you've got that dog there to protect you. Actually, to act as a deterrent as well. Is that correct?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so now we've got a biological security system. We have vet bills. We have the security system maintenance, which would be dog food. Okay, and if you're going to the store to buy maintenance items for that dog, specifically for your security system, 54 cents a mile each way, and to the vet each way. Marty, you know what? I can't believe it. We didn't get through the whole class. Next week, same time, same station.
Got lots of questions.
What do you think?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so formulate your questions. We'll be back next week with part 2, and we're going to talk about what if you make mistakes? What if you buy the wrong desk, the wrong rug, the wrong color paint? We're going to talk about the gray area, how to use your judgment, and what happens if you're audited.
Audit too.
Yes,
I
we'll talk about
your
how to prepare for an audit.